I've been trying to master the cooking of the Scottish style oatcake, and I've been doing some experiments recently. Yesterday I did a load of experiments using cheap breakfast oatmeal, and I made some things. It seemed to be okay, it looked great, I ate them and I felt wonderful, so I thought great, so I put out this wonderful blog saying that I've made oatcakes from porridge oats. However, that night I got terrible indigestion, because it turns out that's not the kind of oats you use for making oatcakes. What you use is this stuff, which is oatmeal, which is a flour of sorts with lumpy bits in it, basically. But somehow it is different to this, which is like rolled oats, I think it's called. Okay, so you have to use this. There are some recipes which do use breakfast oats, but that's used as an afterthought rather than necessarily for the main body of the actual oatcake. There are some oatcakes which use a wheat flour and some breakfast oats, okay, but that is not a pure oatcake because you're not using pure oats. So essentially, as I'm on a comparatively restricted diet, I want to make oatcakes made from oatmeal, proper oatmeal, not porridge oats, okay? And I want to try and get them looking like this, which was my most recent attempt, and it looks good and it seems to fit the bill, and it's edible and tastes just like a proper store-bought oatcake. So I'm going to do an attempt and I'm going to film a lot, so if I muck it up you'll get a chance to see it. I'm just going to use some homemade ethanol on my cloth here just to clean the surface and make sure I've killed off all the germs so it's nice and healthy for me to make my oatcakes on. Preheating the electric fan assisted oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Do that next. And play with the cat for a few minutes to keep him quiet too. So let's put the oatmeal into the bowl. Last time I did enough to go, this is just your standard generic mixing bowl, okay? So I've got quite large hands, but it's like about that big, okay? I did enough oatmeal mixture to go up to the joint on my little finger, or just slightly below. And then I added some oat bran. Now I'm going to do a combination of the two. I want to add the oat bran just to help me to defecate. Next is 1 pinch of bicarbonate of soda, not baking powder, bicarbonate of soda, and a quick sprinkle of regular cheap salt. Okay? So I'll just sprinkle in a little bit of salt. There we go. Nothing serious. Some people will want more, some will want less, I guess. I don't know. Teeny weeny bit of bicarbonate of soda. That'll do nicely. This is a block of lard. We're just going to take a thin slither, about that much. There we go. That goes in there. And then we pour on boiling hot water straight from the kettle to melt the lard and mix it all up. And it's just enough to turn this into a dough. And you carry on adding water and mixing and all the rest of it until you're there. Hey, look at that, it's mixed and still steaming because of the boiling hot water I put in from the kettle, okay? So now I'm going to put flour onto the work surface, put that onto the flour and muck it all up and roll it up, roll it flat to a matter of a couple of millimeters thick. It's got to be as thin as a buggery, basically, in order to make sure that it will cook and won't be crap, really. Some recipes say you can do it thicker. I don't know about that, but when I do it really thin, it works wonderfully, and that's why I got the wonderful result you see over there. Now, as far as doing it really thick is concerned, I have not yet had success in doing that, but that will come with time, I guess. There's also a way of cooking this stuff on a griddle, which is like a frying pan, skillet, that sort of thing. Back of a Scottish warrior's shield, which I think was a traditional method from 1400 or something stupid like that. But either way, I have not yet mastered that one. Come on, this is a culinary experiment. You can't expect me to know everything about how to make oatcakes, for crying out loud. I'm English. I should actually know how to make Staffordshire oatcakes, which are basically pancakes, but on the other hand, I haven't experimented with that either. I've got a lot to learn about how to use oats. Now I just got to roll it really, really, really rather flat and carry on, allowing the flour to do its thing, making sure, of course, that I have covered the rolling pin in flour. Okay, otherwise it will be really disastrous. That's how thin I've rolled it. Okay, so juxtapose that with the thickness of that spoon's handle. It's just a little thicker than the spoon's handle. It's thinner than the handle of a knife, closer to the closer to the thickness of the blade of the knife, really, if you think about it, or something like that. It's thin, and that's the way it should be. Now it's a question of finding a cookie cutter, and ideally one that I've already washed up. Hey, look at that, a cookie cutter which has now been washed up. Isn't that absolutely wonderful? Now we start sort of cutting cookies, and then we'll put them all onto a baking tray or a biscuit tray, and then hey presto, we'll be making oatcakes. And once I put this batch onto a tray, I'll then take any bits left over, scrunch them all up into a ball, roll them flat, and put those onto the baking tray as well. And if you've done what I've done, you should end up with something which looks like that. And if you've done a downside better than me, you'll have probably created something that looks a downside better. So now they've just got to go into the middle of the fan assisted oven for just under 20 minutes, and then they'll hopefully be done and everything will be fine. When you're down to the last 5 minutes, you can turn the power off and just use the heat retention in the oven to do the rest of the work for you. And now for the moment of truth, here we go. Now I did turn them when we were halfway through the cooking time, and as you can see, these are actually brilliant. Nice and solid, well done. Gonna look forward to munching into these things. That's how I make my oatcakes, or at least how I've learned how to do them now very recently, after a little while of surfing around on the net and finding recipes and then playing around and doing some experiments, some of which worked and some of which did not. Anyway, but that's the final result. Thanks for watching.